What up,
Good morning.
folks? How you doing, Mr. H, aka Tony? Welcome to the show, my man. How you doing?
Good morning, brother. I'm blessed. Thank you for having me. Wonderful morning to you. I hope all is well.
Oh, fantastic, man. I can't wait. Hey, dude, this is crazy. My computer is actually stuck yet again. I had to open up a browser on X just to make sure that the video is happening. It's totally happening, but I cannot get back to the studio. So it's all cool. We're live. It's feeling gravy.
Yeah, we'll
Before
wing it, man.
we get into the meat of the podcast, I got to do a little updates. We've already had a really big week. Tony, have you heard of Zach James? Do you know who he is?
I've heard of the name.
Yeah, so he was on Monday night. Super interesting conversation. He's slightly mildly autistic, so we had like a different conversation in the sense that we just went in many different ways that I usually don't go, but it was a fantastic conversation. The dude has an insane background, and now we're here 6:30 in the morning for me, a little early, but that's how much I love doing this. We're ready to freaking rock. And dude, I already know we're going to have a fantastic conversation. But the next big milestone is I actually have Pons coming on my plague space Friday afternoon. So I am going to try to crack the code with Pons and get him to open up a little bit, get his background. He can be a little hard to get him to reveal some of his things, but I'm pretty excited for that challenge. So that's what the rest of the week looks like. And before we get into the actual show, now that my freaking computer is frozen, one thing I forgot to tell you, Tony, I'm gonna screw this podcast up 100 times more than you are. But let's go with this. Tony has spent about 15 years working for Fortune 500 companies. But then he was like, you know what? That's exhausting. I'm sure that was what your mindset is. I'm putting words in your mouth, but I work for Fortune 500 companies and it's exhausting. So he went full time into Web3. He owns a consulting firm called Web3 Consulting and Auditing. And in addition, owner of Engage, which is literally in every Discord that I've gone to. So I cannot wait to talk about that. Also, most important part, because I'm a new father myself, he's a husband and father of 2 boys. Welcome to the show, man. How are you doing? Did I do you justice? Did I miss anything there?
I think you overdid it for me, brother. No, I'm great. Obviously, father to father is a beautiful thing. Congratulations. And no, I
Thanks,
think
man.
that about harped the background right. It's two old dogs like you and I in the space, what, 40 plus doing our thing, right?
Yeah, we are, man. But I think, the space needs us, right? If it
Agreed.
was just all young people, nothing against 20-year-olds, I say that often, but it was just a bunch of 20-year-olds, it wouldn't have the perspective. I think there's something about wisdom and just learning life that gives you some knowledge that you can't replicate until you go through it, right?
Oh, facts. Absolutely, 100%. And I mean, I will say this though, coming back to the 20-year-olds, like the work ethic you see in the space with these younger cats that like are just driven, hungry, ready to make their digital footprint, make their money. I mean, these guys are thinking this stuff at 18, 19, 20. Where like in my day and age it was conditioned, you go to high school, you go get to college on scholarship, be it education or athletics, and you go to grad school, and then you go get a nice job, etc. Where these guys are like, forget all that traditional nonsense. I'm gonna go make my waves, and some of them 20-year-olds really impressive. You know what I mean?
Right. See, so this blows my mind because I totally do see that, right? I've had well, we both know CK, Carson, Bongalo, right?
Of course,
Those
two
two
great guys.
guys are mind blowing to me, right? Because at their age, when I was their age, I was thinking about how many beers I could shovel down my throat
Brother.
and
It was
where the next party was in college, right?
Exactly. It was how many games of beer pong am I winning tonight and what girl am I chasing after? And like that's gonna be my night, my weekend, etc. And these cats are how can I stack ETH? How can I like expand my network? And I mean it's just so impressive to see. So when you mentioned Cap and Bonglo, worked with them personally for the last few years, just fantastic cats. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, since my computer is frozen, I still want to make sure this is working. Can you go on your Twitter quick and just make sure that audio's coming through and it sounds good? I know the video
Yeah.
is coming through, but I literally cannot click on anything else, and this is freaking crazy.
No,
Like,
no
I don't know
worries.
what the
No
heck is
worries at
going on.
all. Give me one sec. Let me see what we got here. Da da da.
So it'll be on my Twitter, right? I know the video is working. I just want to make sure that the audio is
Yeah,
coming through.
audio's working.
All
Audio's
right,
working.
perfect. Awesome. This is great. Even though the computer's frozen, we're still rocking and rolling. So I do have a question already before we even get into the main question,
Sure.
because you make a great point about the younger people in this space are hungry. They've got that, I'm sure influenced by the Gary V's of the world. They want to be an entrepreneur. They know what they know school probably isn't what they want to do. But
Yeah.
then I've managed people for a long time in corporate America. I have similar age range that are insanely entitled. They want to come to work late. They want to leave early. They don't want to work hard. And so I experience that side of the younger generation too. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, to be transparent with you, I don't think it just falls on their generation. I mean, I think it falls on I think every generation's had that gap. I think where we try to pinpoint it on these individuals is that they come off that way, but realistically, let's look at what we've left them. I mean, none of these cats can put down to buy a house at 21 years old unless they got 50,
Mm,
100K. I mean, like
yeah,
they're living the life that, was promised it's going to be all glory and everything. They're having to make their way through shit and dirt just to be transparent. So like while you have some of that, yes, there's a lot of self-entitlement, especially in this space. For some
yeah,
reason, people think like they're entitled to this money and like you see it in airdrops, you see it all the time. Well, I only got $600. Da, da, da. It's like, bro, you just got $600 for free. What the hell am I missing, man? You know what I mean? You clicked a button. Da da da. So yes, I agree with you. I think it's across the board. But I feel like these cats have had a much harder hand dealt to them that are coming up now than what truthfully you and I had to deal with coming up. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Opportunity.
No,
They're
I
having to make their own opportunity, and I think it's the coolest thing because I think that's personally what's kind of led to Web3 is these pioneers, these younger cats that just rebelled and were like, look, this is the way. This is
yeah,
how we rebel against the medium. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
No, and this is why I love what I do, man. Like, that's such a good take, and I totally agree. Uh, it's just interesting that you can witness these dynamics, in different spaces, and Web3 is the hustle and bustle space where people are trying to be somebody, and it is cool to see.
it is.
So
It is.
so we already hit a fun little topic there, but let's get into the main thing because I care really about you, my man. And to get there, world famous midlife crisis question: how did you get to the seat you're sitting in today? Episode 1, 2, and 3. To reiterate, episode 1 is really childhood memories, influences. I'm really interested in how your mindset was molded in the
Yeah.
younger years. Looking back, episode 2, professional career. You had Fortune 500 experience and then became an entrepreneur. So that's going to be super interesting. And then Web3, you've created one of the most prolific bots that exists that everybody uses. So that's a really interesting conversation. In addition to working with hundreds of projects, helping them launch. So your perspective is going to be amazing. So let's start with episode 1, man. Cannot wait to hear it. Hit me, brother.
Yeah, man. So, unique background growing up. So my parents were first generation immigrants from Cuba, right? And my father came over here when he was 12 with his parents, my grandparents, and his brother on a plane. And long story short, my grandparents got ripped off the plane and thrown in jail for 5 years. And they, at 12 and like 14, hopped the plane to the United States, not speaking English, no parents, just to try and find a better life, right? So
Wow.
that's just to give a little background because my father's like a very hardcore mafioso guy, right? So long story short, I was raised very humble, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't have a lot to go with. Use your imagination, find ways to make, yourself come up. I was also always taught at like 7 years old, 8 years old, that if I get in a fight and lose, don't come home. So that was kind of like the mindset I was raised in, where it was like, you either go get it or you ain't eating, you know what I mean, per
Yeah.
se.
Wow. Wow.
But they also raised me very religious. So like a lot of very good characteristics, and always trying to put people first ahead of yourself, and investing in people from an early age,
Right.
and like really networking, right? Like building the people around you up is so critical, even at a younger age. Now it's the most critical, but like who you surround yourself with, I mean, that's who you are per se,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So growing up, man, it was very hard because I'm a Spanish dude in Southern Louisiana, and a lot of us running around, just to be transparent at the time.
Yeah.
Made my way, played ball, played soccer. Fortunately enough, became a top recruit in the state for soccer, and that taught me a lot of morals. It taught me about teamwork. It taught me about everything about relationships per se, right? Because you're literally in bed with the same guys 18 years of your life, or not 18 years, but you know what I mean, 9 years of
Yeah.
club ball, whatever it is. And just really camaraderie, right? So
Yeah.
came up with those kind of morals: work hard, treat people right, treat people as you'd want to be, but never take shit from anybody, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not going to be given to you. You got to go get it. So that was a mindset growing up, and it always drove me. It probably drove me to be the athlete I was, and excel the way I was there. And
Yeah.
then from there, ended up going to 3 different high schools, not because I moved. I just wasn't the greatest kid growing up, right?
All right,
So
I'm gonna be rude and cut you off because
no, go ahead.
you just dropped like so many bombs on me. I don't even know where to go. Like
Yeah, go ahead,
that
go ahead.
was already an awesome run. So let's go back to you said it was your grandparents that got thrown in jail or your
Yeah.
actual parents?
No, no, my grandparents. So when my dad was 12, his brother was 14. They were on a plane from Cuba, literally got on the plane. And then this is during Operation Peter Pan, when everybody was fleeing and trying to
Yeah.
get out. And yeah, they went in and pulled my grandparents off the plane, arrested them. And my grandparents went to jail for, I believe, my grandfather was 5 years. My grandmother was maybe 1 or 2. And so my father and his brother lived in East Los Angeles and grew up in a Mexican foster family themselves. So they're self-made men, you know?
Oh, okay. So yeah, you really just came from grit.
I
And
came from grit. I'm not the grit. I came from grit.
right, you came from grit, but talk to me a little bit about like uh more of those formative years because there's two things there. You talked about religion. Obviously, that's a taboo subject
Yeah, yeah.
on but I still want to talk about it because I want to talk about anything, especially if it's a big part of your life. I have some thoughts there. But the grit side, you being able to know that, but were there experiences that you look back that you just saw? Was it just the constant grind from, your grandparents and parents?
Yeah,
What was
yeah. It
that?
was
What did that experience feel like?
man, it was wild because it was like growing up in the early ages of life, like little kid status, and like,
Yeah,
you can remember some of that stuff. We didn't have none, right? And dad
right,
was trying to make his way. Mom is also a Cuban immigrant, but she came on a completely different side. She was fine. Family came over here. They had money. They were okay, right? There's no
right,
grit there.
right.
But, like, dad and mom getting together, trying to come up, make money, do their thing. We lived pretty frugal for the first, I don't know, 8, 9 years of my life, and then dad started to do well, and then we started to taste what it was like to have some success, right?
Yeah,
And then, life changes a little bit, like, you're able to do certain things, and then my father was, basically architectural company for a bridge collapsed, wasn't his fault, got sued for over $1,000,000, went back to poverty, right? So
right.
that's the state they've been in since. So it's like grit, come up a little bit, go all the way back down, and then still, and now I take care of them financially. So they've never really recovered from that. But in the same
Uh-huh.
token, like when you didn't come from nothing, it don't really matter because you were used to it.
Yeah,
So you just pivot. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And then that's really fascinating because I had your typical prototypical upper middle class white dude American life, right? And there's still something in me that wants to learn and do more. But that didn't come until my major depressive order and just upshifted my life, right? I went through life and I did things that people told me to do. Do you think that youth has really impacted your drive and molded your mindset the way it is today?
Everything. Because I
Yeah.
mean, one of the questions you'll probably ask me is who my hero was, and my hero is my father, right? And still
Right.
is at this day. So like, it's absolutely. I mean,
Right.
like when you grow up and you go and like I've visited Cuba 3 times. I've seen my family over there. I've seen the hardships they live in and how life is over there, and that shit just sets you straight real quick. Like at
Hmm.
16 years old, I'll never forget that stuff. So like
Right.
to
Right.
me, watching this, hearing all the hardships, and again, just having your father be your hero and like not have all the confusion and distractions that people have now with all these fucking phones and social media and everything back then. Like, man,
Mm,
you're fixated on a goal, and your goal was go get college scholarship, go do this, make dad proud, make mom
y-
proud. So
yeah.
absolutely, man. And then again, on the religious side of things, yeah, it is a taboo subject. And to me, I don't care who you believe in, what you believe in. It is immaterial to me. In my company, Web3 Consulting and Auditing, my main company I started 3 years ago, there's 4 other owners, or there's 3 other owners besides myself, all my
Yeah.
developers that have been with me since the beginning. I got one that's an atheist, one that's a Muslim, and then one that doesn't practice, and I'm Catholic. So I can assure you it don't even matter. We all get
Right.
along like two
Right.
peas in a pod. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm interested in that, and I want to talk to religion in the sense of I, you know, religion gets a bad rap for many reasons, right? And I am actually a firm believer too that uh, the base of most religions have a very simple message, which
Yeah.
is be kind and pay it. Be kind, pay it forward,
That's
basically,
it,
right?
man. That's literally all it
Treat
is.
treat other people like you want to be treated. And what's fascinating to me is um, you have interpreted it the right way. Where do you think that goes wrong, and why do you think people give it such a bad rap? Because you obviously, even by talking to you for, I don't know, we've talked for a total of like 40 minutes at this point. I can tell religion made a huge impact on your demeanor and your mindset. The
Yeah.
right way, though. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts there on why it was the right way for you?
I mean, I guess truthfully and just complete transparency, like,
Yeah.
and I mentor a lot of people. So, like, the number one thing I tell anybody that I'm on a call with or in a chat with or however it is, very simple. And I believe in this motto to a T. I tell it to anybody. You can ask CK, Bongo, any of them. They probably heard me say it. I believe at the end of the day, business and in normal life, right? Your every action you make, everything you do is written into a book somewhere, one way or another. It is a book that you will have to answer to when your eyes close for good. And
Right.
my actions and my thoughts and the way I live my life, I want my book to be written right. So I don't have to deal with, the consequences down the road. I want my ROI to be top notch, right? And you only get
Mm,
that way by treating everybody how you'd want to be treating. And again, putting others first. That's a fucking problem, man.
yeah.
Everybody's me, 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 me. Bro, when
Yeah.
you find a way to surround yourself with 3, 4, 5, 6 other people that you actually value more than you and you help them come up and you help them succeed, you will make so much more fucking money down the road just from those relationships than you would have just being me, 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 me. Like, that's just not the way the world works, man. So when your
Right.
eyes close, make sure your book's written right. It don't matter what religion you are.
You're
All your
right.
actions will have to answer for one day, one way or
Right.
another.
See, that was man, that's beautiful. The way you said that is beautiful, and that's exactly and totally what I believe too. You put it in a different way, um, but inherently, dude, if the world just understood that, whatever religion you are, whatever race, whatever it may be, listen, at the end of the day, we all bleed red blood, right? Uh, and and helping each other out. Here's the problem, right? It's the harder thing to do, right? Being able to set your ego aside, set your wants and desire aside to help people out. But to your point, I'm on a 2.5, almost 3 year journey now too, and I've had that same thing, but from a content creation side. And look at us. We're here together because those mindsets brought us together somehow, some way through this space. And now we're here already having this very fruitful conversation. So thank you for that mindset. That is something that needs to be cut up and shared because I totally and firmly believe one of the reasons that we're in such a shitty situation in this world is people are not really embracing that. So thank you, man.
Of course,
And
man.
so moving on, the one thing you said your dad was your hero. obviously the grit, the grind, is one of the things. What's one or two other things of kind of lessons or characteristics that you took from him that you think have helped you through your life?
Yeah, like I guess, one thing it's a sad thing to say this, but being a father, I think I can say it and actually speak to it. I think you'll agree because we're also of an older age. So like when you're coming up, you're growing up, even teenager status, man, you
Yeah.
still think anything you want to do is doable.
Hmm.
Anything. I want to be an astronaut, I'm gonna be an astronaut. I want to be a professional soccer player, I'm gonna be that, right? And
Hmm.
realistically speaking, that just ain't the way it is. You and I
Right.
both know that, right?
Right.
So
Right.
like all of a sudden it starts to sink in that reality is reality and like, man, can't be that. Because of my father, I always still felt that. I can be whatever I want
Mm.
because if this guy can come over here at 12 freaking years old, not know English, move into a like concentration camp for 3 weeks, literally like 3 weeks in a damn fenced in area like you see on Scarface, you know what I mean? Living
Right.
on a mattress like and he
Yeah.
can make his way and start a family and I'm here breathing because of him. Like to me,
Yeah.
that's been the biggest thing because to me, I always felt anything was doable. You just got to
Yeah.
put in the work to get it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. No,
Um,
dude. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anything else there?
Truthfully, I would say probably the biggest thing that I ever took from my father was never to take shit from anybody. Like just to be transparent. That
Mm.
doesn't mean be a hard ass or anything. It just means don't get bullshitted, and that's it. Like, don't let people mess with you like that.
Right.
Do you stand
Right.
up for yourself or one like basically what I'm saying is this. I have never walked away from something where I've got to look myself in the mirror and go, I walked away from that. Like if you look at my nose, it's crooked for a reason, man. God didn't bless me this pretty. You feel me? I just have a problem stepping away from people. So like it's just one of those mentalities though, because it's not about like fighting people or anything. That's not I'm 40
Right.
years. I can't do any of that. Is younger stuff, right? But it's the
Right.
mentality of like when somebody like for an example, just now, my kid had a filling fall out right after a year. Then it's like it's $400, blah blah. Most people gonna take that. I'm not taking that. I call them up. I'm like, you're out of your damn mind. Like, explain to me how I'm paying for this. Like, your bond didn't hold. It's a 10-year plus hold. Like, you start arguing semantics. You don't take shit from people, right? Next thing you
Right.
know, cavity's paid for. But you don't have that mentality. You just came out $400, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
like my
Yeah.
father taught me that mentality of like, no, you like anything's possible. Find a way to get it.
Yeah, that's it's beautiful, man. I mean, all of these characteristics uh, are leading to already understanding why you've been able to create the things you've created, and I think you're seeing why I do what I do here because this is sound. You're we're laying the foundation for the future part of the talk, but also just you as a human, which I think is critically important. So
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that, man. Let's do this because I want to get to Web3 and we started a little later. It's already been an amazing conversation. Take me through the kind of high school. It sounds like sports were a big part of your life.
Yeah.
Uh, camaraderie, that team feeling, you're wanting to excel. Take me through that part of your life.
Yeah, man. So like I guess it all stems this is the topic that could go deep, but like when I was coming up in elementary school because I was one of the few Spanish kids and my name was Marco, right? So like
Right.
picture roll call, Marco, what do you think everybody's yelling, right? So like
Oh, wow.
I used to get made fun of a lot in elementary school, right? Because I was
Yeah.
again Spanish and I had afro looking hair and just I made fun of and like that always weighed on me mentally. Like it actually like almost destroyed me, right? So
Wow.
like that mentality of like coming out of that and then getting to high school. And when I got to high school, man, all my close friends were of older grades, right? So like I got fortunate enough that I had people that were sophomores and juniors that were friends with me through one way or another, and they helped me come up, right? And then I went from the made fun of kid to like the soccer star popular kid. You know what I mean? Not like the popular kid, but
Hmm.
like you know what I mean, where you're not getting made fun of, like you're
Right.
accepted. Let's look at it
Right.
that way, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you go through 8 years of that traumatizing bullshit and people
Yeah.
messing with you and whatever not, especially when, like, you're in a mentality house where it's like, you go fight these individuals or don't come home, right?
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
that's what was my driver in sports because I was like, "This is how I separate myself. This is how, like, I show people I'm that guy. Like, I'm not some, just Spanish kid you can make fun of." And, man, I blew up in soccer and, like, that drive every day, all day, soccer, grind, after practice, stay an hour, work, and, like, that's what separated me. So then I became a soccer star as a freshman, right? And then I went to my next high school and became a soccer star as a sophomore, and then went to the next high school and set records within, a year. So, like, It's just that drive, man, and it's crazy. But like when you have a father like this, and then you have kids making fun of you your whole life growing up as an elementary
Mhm,
school, that
mhm.
crazy combination gets put into a bottle, and like now you have a crazy formula for success. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, it's just like a rocket ship going,
Absolutely.
and again, man, it's just the perspective. What so here's an interesting question, I think.
Sure.
There could be people that go through your situation, but use it for bad and have angst and anger and turn it into the wrong energy. Why
Yeah.
do you think you turned it into the right energy?
Religion, parents,
Yeah, yeah,
family. Like,
yeah,
that's realistically it, man. I mean, I had a
yeah,
good home. Like,
yeah,
while we didn't have a lot, we had a lot. We had
yeah,
love. We had something that that's it. I mean, that's
yeah.
realistically it. I mean, I will say that, like, religion to me is a very big thing, and again, like, it shapes the course of my life, every decision I make, and
Right,
again, stating it, I don't care what religion you are, it is a beautiful thing, believe in whatever you want, just treat people right. That's it.
right,
You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, and it always boils down to this. I love it because we get there in so many different ways. In this instance, your story is really fascinating. But at the end of the day, um, the things that always seem to boil down is support network, surrounding yourself with the right people, and mindset. Like you said, how you get there, whether it's religion or something else, but having the right mindset and who you surround yourself with. If you have those two pieces to the formula, frog in the throat, sorry about that.
You're good.
It seems like, that is the recipe for the foundation for people being more successful later on in life. So, just thank you for sharing that. It's a really,
Of course.
really interesting thought.
Absolutely.
Alright, so you're kicking ass in high school. You're breaking records. What are you jumping from high school to play on different teams, or
No,
you're just
no, man.
motivated?
I wasn't a good kid growing up in high school. Like, basically, I was very rebellious.
Yeah,
I got written up a lot. While I had a great home, don't get me wrong. Like when you're in Southern Louisiana, like fighting is a very big thing.
yeah,
Unfortunately, back then,
yeah,
and like when people said something, like you had to step up for yourself. So literally, that's kind of the background. I fought a lot freshman, sophomore year, all the way up to like senior when I went to public school, like real public school, like not this half public school stuff, right? And you find real quick in Southern Louisiana when you go to a public high school,
yeah.
yeah, there ain't no messing around. You ain't the tough guy. There ain't no, you are the bottom of the barrel. You feel me? So like, yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting though, because that's completely opposite of your vibe and what you're saying,
I
right?
know,
So
I know,
I'm assuming it's just a product of the environment and kind of a
absolutely,
survival skill at that point, right?
absolutely right. And it goes back to the how my father raised me. Like, don't take shit from people. And unfortunately, being Spanish at that age, like I got a lot of stuff, man. It
Y
ain't the same it
yeah.
is now, but back then, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it was. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. Yeah,
But
totally makes sense.
then you get your college scholarship, and then you leave Louisiana, right? And you go to some
Mhm.
small place in Kansas, and then like you're by yourself, and you have to rebuild your entire life and like everything, right? And that
Yeah.
changes you. So like all of a sudden that part of your life is gone, and now you're in this nice place where everybody's nice and nobody's, you know what I mean? So like,
Right, right.
um,
Yeah, so talk to me about that then.
yeah.
Let's get to that part.
Yeah, I think that's actually probably one of the biggest characteristics in entrepreneurship is like when you leave for college and like you go to a place that completely different state, you don't know nobody, you're going, man. And like I remember them sitting me there with like 16 new soccer players that all got recruited on a rebuild program. They were like, by the way, this is where we're going to spend 7 days out here at this Lake Pomona place, 103 degrees. You're sleeping in tents for a week, and like you're doing your thing preseason, et cetera, et cetera. And went to college, realized that that was the opportunity to make something of myself and completely change, man. Got my grades where I needed to be, excelled in soccer, and then met my beautiful wife, farmer's daughter out there in Kansas.
Yeah,
She wouldn't give me the time of day until I went and got my master's degree. And then finally, when she saw I got into grad school, she was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
maybe he's worth talking to, right? So like, went through grad school, and I remember telling my parents, I was like, I've never gotten a 4.0, never gotten a 4.0 in my life, and
Yeah,
I want to do that before like it's all over. So my last year in grad school, which is the cumulative one, the hardest one, right, where you have to run a company from the ground up and a bunch of other stuff, I ended up getting a 4.0, graduated top three in my class, and shifted my whole education priorities, man. And then from there, that platformed me into jumping that Fortune 500 route and beginning the
Yeah.
grind up the corporate ladder.
No, I love it, man. And so the one thing that popped out of my mind when you went through that is what's interesting to me, and I just want your thoughts on it, whether you agree or you have another angle, is it seems like, you went, you have now at this point built a really great mindset, which is a combination of grit, understanding that at the end of the day, um, even though you got to fight your way through life, and I think that's the other thing where what I hear all the time where I think mindsets make a mistake. To your point, grace, being kind, paying it forward is what really drives you, but there are grays in life, right? Not everything is black and white. And
Exactly.
sometimes you do need to survive. And sometimes you need to stand up for yourself. Grace isn't going to get you living all the time if you're in shitty situations, right?
100%.
Um,
100%.
but what I'm getting at is it seems like now you have the characteristics, but then the product of your environment, going to college, feeling comfortable,
Yep.
having a space to play has yet again opened up a new mindset to you. That
100%.
product of environment is what I'm getting at, seemed to be a game changer for you. Am I right there or
It
wrong?
did. 100%, brother. 100%. That's why, like, I can't stress enough where you live and where you choose to raise your family and things like that. They're so critical, right?
Right,
And
right.
here I am raising mine in Southern Louisiana. But in the same token, uh, but in the same token, yes. And I mean, it changes you because, like, I went to a place now where, like, I'm the asset, where, like, I'm the soccer star that got recruited in, and people are like, oh man, that's the guy, da da da. And,
Yeah,
like, I lived off campus when I was 18, but that was a school rule. You couldn't until you're 21. I was one of, like, the only people in 100 years to do it because I said, only way I'm coming to your school is if I live off campus, right? So going back to what
right.
you and I talked about in the beginning, my mindset back then was, all right, yeah, get my college degree, but I'm throwing every party every weekend, beer pong, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah. This, like,
yeah.
those were my mindsets, man. And like, that's what
Mhm.
I'm saying. This younger generation now is so incredible. It's so
Oh,
incredible to watch these guys. I
incredible.
love it. I
Yeah,
love it, man. I
it's
love it.
incredible. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you watch like for an example, like Mickey Hardy from Arcadia, right? I'm sure you're familiar with him.
yeah,
Close friend, younger cat, just what he's done in a year or two, just watching the drive, how he scaled his org. It's just these cats that come out and do this. You look at like the Ruthies, the Surgeons, you know what I mean? Like just
yeah.
fantastic people that have just come out and murdered.
Yeah, no, I and again, I think it's to your point, right? A product of the environment,
Yeah.
you're young at this point. You've grown up, like, we're the generation. I'm actually really happy I'm in the generation I am because we saw analog, right? I was
Yeah.
knocking on my friend's door
Yeah.
to, we had a landline. Like, I would call my friend and the phone would be busy. Like
Yeah.
that, there was a busy tone. People have not even heard a busy tone in their whole life,
Brother,
right?
brother,
And
brother.
then
Our
go ahead.
Fridays were is dad gonna let us rent a blockbuster movie?
Yes,
Do we also get a game too? Oh my god, the whole
right.
weekend's made. Like these are the things
It's
that and it sounds so simple,
huge.
but to be transparent with you, they'll never get to experience how amazing that was.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was yes, there was something simple about it that I think it made. And the answer to a busy phone call is you walked and knocked on your friend's door. Holy shit, you went and had a conversation. I mean, literally, I've built my brand around what we're doing now because it's so crazy. We're more connected than we've ever been before on a worldwide scale, but no one just has a simple conversation like this anymore.
Nope.
And it's so powerful and it's so important. And that is what that generation is missing. But also, what I was getting at is product of their environment and why we see this just incredible drive is, to your point, even a middle of the road school now, you're eyeing down over $100,000 in debt
Oh yeah.
to get a liberal arts degree,
Yeah.
or you figure out how to grind to get money and no debt so you can maybe afford that house in your 30s. Maybe.
Oh, if you ask me right now if kids should be going to college and getting degrees, I'll be the first person to tell you no, absolutely not. I will tell you my master's has done nothing to excel my career. It's done
Yeah,
nothing for me. It's a piece of paper that what? I get to tell people I got a master's degree. Who gives a fuck? Like, let's be
right.
like who actually gives a shit at the end of the day? We're like Like, for an example, I met with my FA earlier this week to talk about putting some money away for the kids, starting their compounding accounts, everything, right?
Right,
He
right.
was like, all right, so we're putting this towards like college education. I'm like, absolutely fucking not. Well, what do you
Yeah.
mean? Like, you're looking at me wide eyed. I'm not paying for my kid to go drink and play beer pong and shit like that. He wants to make it. Go get your academic scholarship or your athletic one, like I did. Like, I ain't going to soften my kids by making sure that they have nest eggs. Like, they won't even know about this money. They're going to have to hit milestones, marriage, jobs, hit a certain amount of money in your account before any of this stuff releases, right? Because
A
that's a problem.
hundred
We weaken these
per
generations. We weaken them by
cent.
giving them shit. It's crazy to me, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I have the same. My mom had the money, but she made me pay for my college, and
100%.
I
That's the way it is, man.
eh,
I'll never look. The greatest thing you want to, all right, you may not ask me this question, but I want to say it. The greatest defining moment in my life that like had the biggest impact on me ever, probably made me get that drive who I am right now, right? So a thing about me is because I was doing athletics, like to pay for school and everything like that, the stuff that the scholarships didn't cover and rent and you know what I mean, right? I
right.
played online poker. I played poker in person. I played online. I used to
Uh,
have 2 laptops, 8 screens up,
uh-huh.
just running it, right? And I made some good money doing it. Okay. But at the end of the day, when everything ended up going bad and I went on a downhill slope and I actually busted and I went to the casino, busted out firsthand, flopped a straight, lost a runner boat, called my dad and I go, listen, I've never had to do this. I'm 21. I need some money. I'm not going to make rent. My father's exact words were, you are 21 years old. The fact you're fucking calling me this is a joke. Don't ever bother me this again. And hung up. And I remember like this feeling of like complete, like my body turning white. And I was like, what the fuck am I going
Ah,
to do? Like, because it's a pride thing. I don't want to have to borrow money from people. I don't want to have to, like, what do I do at this point? How am I going to eat? That, that feeling that changed me. It changed my whole core. It like rewired my shit completely. And at that point, I never wanted for money again, ever. It's always been uphill since. Always. Like it's
yeah.
can't even explain it. But the problem is parents don't do that with their kids. It's like,
Right,
oh yeah,
right.
you're the problem here. Let me hook you up. No,
Yeah.
fuck that. Make them go get their own shit. Make them become the self-made person you want them to be.
I love it. I hit a nerve. This is awesome. I'll say a couple things too. On the education thing, I still think you need to go if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or some type
Oh yeah, yeah.
of
You know what I
skill,
mean. You
right?
know what I mean. I'm talking about with
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we
You
do, or if you're gonna
no,
entrepreneur
no.
your own business out,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I
No,
mean, man. You
no
don't need to be
need to
trained by these people in the system. You know
for
what I mean?
sure, for sure. 2 though is what she said was really interesting, and this is also why I do what I do. Your sharing of that story busting in the casino and something rewired in your brain.
Yeah.
I think people read all these self-help books and are are just yearning for a hack or something that is going to create this drive or the things that we've talked about. But to me, it's exactly what you had. Mine came
Yeah.
through crazy mental health crisis, right? And I had that, I had the well, it's not prototypical, but what you hear, I looked in the mirror for a solid 5 minutes, blamed everything else in the world as to why I was the way I was. And then I finally had the, "Oh, fuck, it's me," right?
Yeah.
And then but yours was at that defining moment, and what I'm getting at is sharing these stories is critical because you ju everyone's different, and you just don't know how you're gonna get through that and get to that moment, but that rewiring is critical.
It
What
is.
I'm just interested in short term, after that happened, how did you end up making rent?
I mean, to be transparent with you, I mean, I degened it out. I borrowed some money from a roommate, and from there, I did what I did in poker, but way more, I guess you would say, refined. I didn't take
Yeah,
as many risks. I'm not trying to be that guy. I was stupidly good at this game, like dumb
yeah,
good, like ridiculously good. So, like, I didn't enjoy it though. I hate gambling. I don't like it. I never
yeah.
enjoyed 1 second of it. I did it because it was a quick way that I could make money and not have to take time away
Interesting.
from other things that were important to me. So, like, you can at right now, I have money to gamble if I want to, right? I don't gamble. I don't enjoy it. Never did.
Right,
Okay.
right.
But
Interesting.
that rewired my entire life. And like you
Right.
have to have that moment. And I feel like any parent that doesn't make their kid go through that moment
Yeah.
is failing them.
And it's so I love it. The rewiring though, what what was the rewiring? Not chasing the money, chasing the things that meant to you?
Oh,
What
shit. Frugal spending, no more eating out, no more anything, no more buying anything. Like, so for an example, let's say I come up a couple grand in a tournament. Well, man, rent was only a couple $100. I got food and everything, right? But I'd go spend that shit like it was nothing. Hey, let me take
Mm,
everybody out and have drinks and this and that. And like, you're
yeah,
living a nice
yeah.
little lifestyle where you're like, man, I'm out. I'm over here in college by myself. You think that's important. But then when you can't eat, you realize what's really freaking important. And then you're already 21. So now you're at that mature age where you're like, shit,
Yeah,
this can't happen again. So
yeah.
that rewiring, like the way I spend, and I mean, even to this day, dude, I drive a 2011 Malibu, not Malibu. The I is fucking missing behind the car. Okay, you think I can have a nicer car? Fuck yeah, I could. I've had the Cadillacs, I've had the fucking MKZs, but guess what? My kids can't eat a fucking car. My
Right.
parents can't eat a car. So at the end of the day, this material bullshit, all this nice crap that people think is important, dude, you get to my age and you realize real quick, like that shit don't mean nothing. And anybody that's going
Wow.
to judge you on one of those things, do you even want to be around them? Right.
Right,
So,
right,
like,
right.
I drive the car I drove in college. Why? Because it's paid off. I don't have debt on it. And realistically speaking, I don't care what anybody else thinks about me. I care what Jesus Christ thinks about me, and I care what I got to do with my family. That's it.
Right, right, right. I love it, man. I love it. So let's do this. We're gonna have to skip forward a little bit because
Yeah, yeah.
I got some um I might be able to push it back because this is a fantastic conversation. But at least let's kind of jump forward to Fortune 500 because I'm really
Yeah.
interested in this in the sense that uh you have this entrepreneurship spirit mindset. You're starting to experience this in college, but then you go the corporate route.
Yeah.
So talk to me about why you decided to do that and
Yeah.
what you learned through the corporate, because it was 10 to 15 years, right?
Yeah, no,
So,
I'll give a quick class lesson on this for anybody that doesn't fall into this trap, right?
right.
Got the master's top 3 in my class. From there, I went and applied to a bunch of corporate jobs. Guess what happened? I couldn't get no job. Why?
Mm,
Because I have a high education but no experience. And guess what? People always hire experience over education. Get that through your head. That is a fact. It's the way it is. So now you're in a conundrum. You're whatever money in debt, but you can't get a job with a master's degree. So I went and sold phones at Sprint, man. And I just hustled selling phones. And like anybody that walked through the door, I got them first, made the money. And then I ended up selling a executive at a company called Deluxe Corporation, right? Which is the biggest check company in the United States. And he goes, "What are you doing selling phones?" And I was like, "Well, this is my background." He's like, "Here's my card. Let's set up an interview, da da da." So I went in for an interview. They hired me that week. Started off at 30K, driving 45 minutes to work every day, 45 minutes back, hit the phones. You got to make X number of calls a day, and you're dialing for dollars, brother. You're dialing for dollars. It was all digital marketing, right? That's what they were expanding to. So, like, I went from, okay, man, all right, I've got an opportunity. And now it's what you make of it because they're going to give you, commission, but you got to go make it. And you're making a little base. But at the end of the day, you don't make them calls. You don't sell people. You don't convert. You're not
right,
eating, right? And
right.
then they had hired like 20 people for the role, and they told us in the beginning, we're only keeping 4, right? So at the end of the day, I had to make that 4. Well, I made that 4, okay, which was a blessing. But in the same
Right,
token, that was 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back, snow, rain, sunshine. It don't fucking matter, man. You get there because you got to put food on the table. You know
right,
what I mean?
right, right,
So then you start making millions for a company and you realize you're getting a check of maybe, 80, 100K. And you're like, man, that's crazy, right? But like what happened with them? 9 years, breaking every company record in sales. And what ends up happening? I want to move up into management, but your sales are so good that they can't afford to lose you as a sales guy. So what ends up
right,
happening? You're gone, right? Because then you get in arguments back and forth. Your numbers drop a little bit. You get axed. So one day at a company, you think you're all good. Next day, you don't have a job. And that's why I'm trying
right,
to tell people like this corporate bullshit, you are a number. Don't show no loyalty. Don't put in 2 weeks. Don't do any of that crap because they ain't going to do it for you. You are a
mhm,
number, man.
mhm,
So like
mhm,
from there, went and did small business stuff. Worked as a VP of biz dev for a very big automotive digital marketing firm. Did that for a little bit. They made me promises. Ended up screwing me over after I hit my goals. I quit from there. Went back into corporate for Progressive and great company, right? You did the commercial side. I ran Louisiana, Mississippi for them, and I made them quite a significant amount of money. I mean, a lot of zeros, and they cut me a check for a little over 6 figures. And I realized at that point that was it. That was how I transitioned to Web3. I said, I'm done making yacht money for everybody while I make crumbs. I'm 30 freaking 6 years old. And at this rate, I'm
Mm,
never going to fucking retire. I'll never get to do the
yeah.
things I want to do in life. So that led me to saying, like, I need to take a chance.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love
All right, I ran
that.
through it because I know we're
No,
time.
no, 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 no. That's awesome. You actually did a fantastic job. There, I have one big question from
Yeah.
this though, right? There has to be some types of skills that you learned or experiences that you had throughout that process that you still harvest and use
Oh, yeah.
today. What would
Yeah.
they be?
I mean, realistically speaking, like, because loyalness to me is like the biggest characteristic. Like, I will flat out tell you, I will be the most loyal human being, your best friend you will ever have. But if you screw me over, I'm the worst human being you will ever meet in your life, right? And
Right,
that's like
right,
that's a double-edged sword. But I was that way with corporate. Like, to me, that was my family. That was loyal, right? So I learned how to treat customers like family, how to treat people right, and most importantly, when you're having a dial for dollars, you learn how to sell, but sell properly. Because that's the fucking problem. Everybody just bullshits and like over exaggerates and sets the wrong expectations. Even within any of my companies, like I undersell and over deliver, because if you undersell the client and then they close with you and you do what you're supposed to do and you do it even better, you know what the fuck happens? They spend
yeah,
more money with you and then they refer you to John, Sally, and Rick. And that's
right,
why at our company, I opened the doors 3 years ago. I've never had a sales guy, never done marketing, never had an outreach team, and we have more business than we know what to do with. And it's been like that for years. You know what I mean? It's
right, right,
because
right.
we value people and we treat them right and we sell properly.
Yeah, and you learned how to do that in a corporate
All in corporate.
environment
All in corporate.
all through. I have a random question.
Yeah.
What did I'm sure you had horrible bosses, right?
Yeah.
At times. Are when you're at a place where you can't deal with them, what was your way to um deal with that situation? Was it at some point you just got to get out because
Yeah.
it's not productive?
The way I dealt with it is completely wrong. First off, you harness it in, you just deal with it, and you're like, hey, it'll change. The first problem is thinking it's going to change. It ain't going to
Yeah.
fucking change. He
Right.
ain't going to change. She ain't going to change. She's your boss. They're going to make you change. Okay. So like that's first and foremost. Secondly, is trusting anybody else in the company, thinking that they have your side, like HR and stuff like that. That's another biggest mistake you'll ever make. HR doesn't work for you. They
Yeah.
work for the fucking company. So
Yeah.
like then all of a sudden you go talk to them, but it gets to your higher ups, which guess who it gets back to? Your bosses, who then take it out on you. So like,
Mhm.
yeah, man, my advice to that, if you're in that position, get out, because they're
Yeah.
not going to get rid of the manager. They're going to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Get out. And
Yeah.
honestly, in this day and age, if you're not moving jobs every 2 years in corporate, you're screwing yourself over. You're leaving money on the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. I think that's a great insight and great advice. I don't think I have any other questions other than that. And again, it's this constant evolution of how to deal with people. And
It
I
is.
think that is uh let me react to this thought. I'm interested in this, and then we can go to Web3.
Yeah.
I am firmly convinced that once AI takes over, jobs are lost, automation is happening, right? You're really going to boil down to like three skill sets. And if you don't have one of these skill sets, you're going to be on universal welfare because you're not going to be able to do anything else. And those skill sets to me are one, leading people, understanding relationships, two, creativity, because you cannot AI cannot replicate the creative mind quite yet, or if ever. And then three, analytical thinking, right? Being able to combine different sets of information that AI might produce and garnering those human insights that AI might not need to produce. Am I missing anything there, or you kind of in
No,
line with that?
I think you've hit the nail on the ball. I mean, I own a small portion of an AI company called iAgent that does a AI creation for video game bots. So think codeless bots in video games through video game footage after 36 hours of inputting through the protocol, right? So like, I get it on the AI side. I think you hit it right on the head. I mean, AI is coming. It will take out some jobs. There is without doubt. And the people that can think for themselves, think creative, can lead people, that know how to work with people, how to get the most out of people. Those are the individuals that are going to partake. Because if you're
Yeah.
not agile, you are going to be on universal welfare. It will end up.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of last thought, let me get your thoughts on this. In my mind, leadership one of the main things it boils down to is communication and being able to genuinely connect with your associates or your crew to motivate them and get the best out of them. Would you agree with that one?
100%. 100%. So anytime you get hired into my company and one question is asked, what is your biggest motivation? Is it money or time? Like, what
Right.
is it? Like, walk me through it. Because it's one of the two. You either value time with your family and not being at work, or you value money and you just want to make as much of it as you can. But it's going to be one or the other. Sometimes a combo of both. But like I always ask that because it gives me an idea of how to manage somebody. What is their priorities? Like, what do they like? Because
Yeah.
everybody's different, man. And that's the problem. Like, you think one person, John, is the same as Sally. No. Maybe John values being off on Fridays at the end of the day because he likes to do this, and Sally wants to work through the weekend because this. Great. You find ways to incentivize both, and
Right.
that's how you make
Right.
successful orgs.
Yeah, and that's where I think the leadership downfall happens often is it's a lot of work to have to treat people differently based on their needs, wants, and desires and motivating them, right?
Yeah,
People want
success
a one
success is a lot
size
of work. Success is a
yeah.
lot of work. You don't want to put it
Pe
you don't want to put it in, you ain't getting it, you know?
right, and leaders want a one size fits all. I'm just gonna be this way, and it's gonna work for everybody, and that's just not how life works.
And that and
Um,
that and that's why they fail, man. I mean, that's why 9
yeah.
out of 10 businesses fail is because of that exact mindset. You're right.
Yeah, yeah, and it's unfortunate because I talk about this a lot too in corporate America. I think the system's just broken, right? You get promoted because you're really, really good at a single skill set, and then you go from that, right? And then all of a sudden you jump into a leadership role, which is a totally different skill set. You
Completely.
actually have to stop doing the work that you've done for the last 5 to 6 years and then you now have to do the work. 80% of your time should be just people, right?
Yeah.
Mission, vision. How do I connect? How do I get the work out of them that I need? But you're still stuck in this mindset of like, I need to do this skill. They can't do it as good as me. I might as well do it myself. And all you're doing is getting yourself in a pickle. But I think that's a product of the system that we've created. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, of course, because I mean the problem with corporate and living it firsthand is very simple. They lack one very specific like structure in their moving up process. And again, some companies do this, so I'm not blaming all of them, but I'm just saying the
Yeah.
companies I work for, it's very simple, man. Like you have a guy, he starts here. He's a the sales guy, right? And you want him to move into sales management, okay? Everybody just jumps into sales management. Now he went from selling on the phones all day to he's managing a team of people, and he has no idea how to actually do that. It's no
No.
idea how to talk to each person individually to get the best out of those people because it's not your skills anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. You can teach people how you did it, but they can't
Yeah.
really do it like you because you have your own skill set. So instead of going from here to here, why not put them here as a team lead? Develop
Yeah.
them for 6 months. Work with the current manager to figure out where they're not doing things right, where it can
Right.
improve. That's where the fall is, man. But corporate just goes, well, that takes time. That
Yeah.
takes money. We don't want
Yeah.
to do that.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
again, you're a number, bro. You're not a
Right,
fucking
right.
person.
For sure. Beautiful conversation, man. Incredible insights. Love the energy. Really, really appreciate it, man. Let's get to Web3. We
Yeah,
have
let's do it.
about a half hour left. I can go a couple minutes over, but I want to be able to give you the floor to talk about beautiful Web3 consulting. I'm really interested on how you got to the engage side of things. So
Yeah.
take me through this journey, man.
So, man, it's actually a really unique thing. I'm actually really like it brings a lot of happiness to me to like talk about how we kind of came up because I'll never forget my devs like look like deers in headlights when this started. But basically, I made the pivot from progressive, saying, I've got to find a way to go into business for myself. I'm 36. If I don't take the chance now, I'm not going to have it. And at this point, I had one kid, another one on the way, and then financially supporting my parents. So like this is a very stressful decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And basically watching the NFT space and watching it bloom and I've been in crypto for some time, but like watching the NFT space do its thing, I started just following people and just watching drops. And I started to see how many failed drops there were, how
Yeah.
many hacks there were, how many rugs there were. And it just clicked in my mind. I was like, man, there is just really not a lot of good firms out there that do this development stuff or auditing stuff. And like that seems to me, if I can make my mark there, I can help the space stay more secure. We can build a digital footprint there, and maybe I can make something of it and start this company, right? So I found these developers through research, two cats that we got to know each other, and I basically sat down and I said, "What do you guys need to make?" And they were like, "We need to make 100K a year." I said, "Okay, all right. So I got to be responsible for 200,000 for y'all, and I got to make whatever money I can for me on the side, and I got to do this with no network, no contacts, no anything, and just come in and fucking make it happen, right?" So I got fortunate enough to get onto a project called Zooverse as an advisor, right? Just
Yeah.
based on my background, from business, and the younger founder and I hit it off, and like that's where I made my start, and like I helped Zooverse kind of get going and like get off the ground and build their roadmap and stuff like that. And then within like a couple weeks from that, I told the devs, I said, "Look, this is my idea. We're gonna do free audits." And their eyes just got fucking huge, right? They're like, "What do you mean free? How the fuck are we going to make money?" I'm like, "Listen, you're the devs, I'm the business. Let me grow the business. Just trust me. Let's see what we can do. We'll only charge if we find something that could actually break the mint. Let's say there's a reentrancy or there's some logic that doesn't add up and it's going to fail, right? Or it's going to gas out, whatever it is. And we'll tell people that ahead of time. You only have to pay us if we find something, whatever." They go, "Okay." Well, brother, we started off that way. And we said, if we do it this way and we find things that break mints, we're showing value to the space, right?
Mm,
Brother, we were finding things left and right, left and
right.
right, left and right. And people were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Can you fix it?" So now it went from just auditing to, "Well, can you be our dev team? Can you fix it?" So now we're taking on mints. And the next thing after a few months of doing free audits that still ended up becoming paid, we had a business, right? We
Yeah.
had a company, we had a brand start to get out there. And now, we're a full scale development firm. We handle every aspect of custom drops. The only thing we don't do is video games, right? So I don't do any of that, but you need launch pads, you need Bitcoin marketplaces, you need mints, you need token launches. We're building Seedify's custom stuff. We're doing Minify's token drop. Like, we do a lot of cool stuff on the dev side, but this all started from free audits two and a
Yeah.
half years ago, right? And now we've worked with over now 400 projects. We've done 130 plus launches, custom drops that we've done, zero exploits, zero failed launches, and we've also audited over 380 contracts. Again, zero exploits, zero failed launches. So we
Love it.
keep a tight record. And then the cats that have been with me since the beginning, while it's my company, again, I told you I value people more than money. I said this several times in this call. So if
Mhm.
you look at my company that I started from the ground up, I only own 25% of it.
Yeah.
I have 3 other developers that own the same amount as me because
Yeah.
they've been in the trenches with me since the beginning,
Yeah.
and I value them like my fucking blood. You
Yeah.
understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
me, fuck the percentages, fuck the money. Like, we're a
Right.
family and we deliver the best damn dev work in the space, and that's why we've never had to have sales or outreach or anything. It all just comes to us.
Yeah. No, man. This is beautiful. So my first question is the dev side. Were you a dev? Like, were
No,
you
no,
into that?
no, bro.
Right.
No, no, no.
So
Like,
you were the business guy that just found the right devs. Talk to me about that. Like,
yeah. I
not
mean,
being a dev, how did you know the dev was good? Just because of the human connection side, or
yeah,
you could at
just
least see,
Just
uh
they'd worked on drops before, so I went and saw the drops they had worked on. They were successful as far as no problems. Everything was on the up and up because I wanted to align myself with people that I knew were good, but
yeah,
people that were ethical. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because at the end
yeah.
of the day, people are trusting you with a lot of money. That's how it happened, man. And
Right,
they
right.
proved themselves time and time again. And I'll be transparent with you. I got lucky. I got lucky that I found two of the best developers in the world that
Yeah,
do this, and I found them out the gate. I got lucky.
yeah,
There ain't nothing
yeah.
else to it. I will say luck.
Yeah, see, thank you for saying that because most people will not say that it's a luck. They'll say it as a version of whatever.
No.
But your advice for someone that is interested in starting a business like you, where you have a problem to solve,
Yep.
which in your case was broken mints, right? But you need that dev expertise that you don't. What's your advice on how to do that in this space?
Meaning how to, like, find the right people, or
Mhm.
so, I mean, realistically speaking, brother, you gotta do your research. It's ground to the boots. I mean, go to the last I mean, first off, you have to have some kinda network in the sense of, like, establishing relationships. So find yourself an NFT project or 2 that you know are decent, good
Yeah,
tier 2, maybe tier 1s if you can afford one, right? And then start building your little network of friends within that, right? And
yeah,
then start asking around because that's what
yeah,
this space is. It's so fucking small. Everybody knows people. Hey, do you know this? Do you know that? If you end up finding some devs that make sense, or if you ask the project, who are your devs? And then from there, establish a relationship. Go look at their pattern. Go look at their track record. Go look at everything that they stand for. But like the end of the day is you have to put in the work. I didn't just get these guys and say good luck. Like I damn near did my research. We went through it. We had 10, 15 calls together before we ever went into business. And that was just straight vetting each other out, right?
Right.
But like people ask me all the time, well, how do I get my company off the ground? What do I do this? Find the problem and go fucking work for free, man. And then when I say this, they're all immediately like, oh, it doesn't make any sense. Because you fucking are so entitled to thinking that you deserve money. You don't deserve shit in this world. Nothing.
Right.
Go get it. And if you can't work for free and humble yourself to work for free, then don't fucking bother me. Because that's how I did it. There ain't no fucking other playbook, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there ain't no magical button where you snap your fucking fingers. Like to this day, and I still tell people the most valuable thing you can do in this space is setting up conversations with individuals and figuring out how you can bring value to them. Yeah. Like I'll give you an example. Ank Labs, met with them a couple weeks ago. Met with Ank and I said, hey, I want to have a call with you to discuss your org. The whole premise of the call was about Ank Labs. It had nothing to do with my company. And he asked me, he goes, are we going to talk about yours? I said, no, I'm here to talk about yours and how I can bring value to you. And he's like, that's fucking wild, man. Like nobody does that. Yeah, no shit. Nobody does that because that's the fucking problem. Right. Everybody should be finding out how to bring value to other people. And if you can do that, they're going to bring value naturally back to you, man.
100%.
Get out of me. Get around building a circle.
Yeah. I mean, I've done the same thing with my brand. I can't tell you how many times people have said, so how much does the podcast cost? And I'm like, well, nothing.
Just doing it, man. We're doing it because it's the love of doing it. And you know that in a year from now, there's going to be one of the biggest podcasts out there without fail because you're putting your heart, soul into it. You're a genuine dude. You're getting the right people on there. It's just time. And people want it now.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's I think what the biggest disservice this space does to its community is you've got these shitbag influencers that just want to make money, and their narrative is you can be a millionaire overnight, and especially the new people believe it, and then they surround themselves with the wrong people, and again, the people at the top get to scam and skim off the cream of the crop.
Brother, if we could destroy Twitter follower count, like that wasn't a fucking number, like
oh my
God, at a profile. Let me tell you something.
Change.
These fucking jokers that have ruined this space for the last 2 or 3 years, they'd be fucked. I can't stand influencers. I hate all of them. I've never taken a paid fucking tweet, any of that shit. You think I haven't had the opportunity? I'm not some big influencer cat, but in the same token, this is my thought process. You want to hear some real shit? You want to hear real alpha? To any influencer that reads or watches this shit, take this alpha. Okay, if you fuck one person that follows you over with your bullshit little paid tweet that you got paid and you got the inside knowledge, and guess what? You're going to dump on them. And at the end of the day, even one follower that puts their money because they believe in you and now they can't make rent or they can't feed their family because you shilled some bullshit for money that you knew was going to be a rug, motherfucker, that is the book I talked about in the beginning. You will answer for that shit at some point, whether it's now or not. That shit's coming. So just like, that ain't no religious bullshit. That's a karma bullshit thing right there. So like, stop fucking ruining the space, man. You know what I mean?
Hammer dropped.
Seriously,
that
man.
is
I can't stand any of these motherfuckers, bro. And they all know it. Anybody that knows me, I don't deal with any of them. You know what I mean? I just don't.
I always say that, man. I could be really wealthy and have a lot of followers if I just said yes to the 100 DMs that I get of, hey, I'll give you, well, I don't know. It's crazy, man. It's thousands of dollars for a tweet, right?
Look, you got Pons coming up next, right?
Yeah.
Pons a great dude. Pons, one of the founders that came in, did it from the fucking right way, ground up, no bullshit, keeps to himself and does his thing and just builds, right? You want to talk about like an influencer. You look at Ash Robin, right? Super good creator, great influencer, awesome dude, been in the space, provides the right messages to his community. That's what every influencer should strive to fucking do.
Right. Absolutely. I do the same thing in the sense that this is the problem I saw, right? And I solved it was there's how disingenuous people were in this space. And they weren't, everyone was like do your own research, but no one was taking the time to do it.
No.
So I was like, you know what? I can connect with people. I can have a conversation. This hour and a half conversation is research. Now, if you can't sit down and just listen to something, uh, that's on you, right? So
Agreed.
my brand is always bulletproof in the sense that I am literally vetting people and having conversations about them in real time, and then I provide that video to the community, then they can make their own decision. I'm
Yeah,
not telling you what to do. I am just trying to figure out you as a human. And that's the problem I think we need to solve from a content perspective. So,
agreed.
and it's worked out, right?
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
and so beautiful, beautiful guy. I love, dude. Hammer
Yeah.
dropped.
Yeah,
We are
man.
absolutely cutting that up, and we're gonna just hopefully we can get the right people to just retweet the shit out of that because that message needs to be heard. And I wholly agree. People are bitching and moaning of taking away likes. That's like the first step in the right direction. I don't care
Absolutely.
how many people like your post. I don't care how many followers you have. And the ironic part about it is all of these content engines are actually understanding now that the content makes them more money, right? Hey,
Yeah.
sorry, my dog's
No,
barking.
you're good,
The
man.
content makes them more money. So whatever content resonates with the audience, that is what's going to win out at the end of the day over the next 5 to 10 years, right? It's no longer how many followers you have, and then you get a bigger share of voice. It's what is your content. Now, the downside to this, right, is a lot of shitty content will resonate, right?
Yeah.
Uh, one of the I heard the stat, I don't know if it's true, but it's at some point, the most Googled word was actually hate over love, right? And like that's, when you start thinking about content, it's like, well, what is going to get more views and clicks? And I'm firmly convinced half these people that are shouting all this crazy bullshit, they don't even believe in it. They just know that it's going to make them money and get them
I know.
views, which
I
is
know, brother. And,
really,
and and again, it's sad when the people that have that kind of power to swing don't have the ethical boundaries that they should fucking have.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
that's the part to me of what cripples our space.
yeah,
It's what's
yeah.
it's I don't know, man. I'm like I said, I'm anti-influencer bullshit. Like I don't have a problem with a big follower count. Enjoy yourself, but just use it right, man.
Do it the
Fucking
right
use
way
it right. Just
for
help
sure.
people, bro. Like you're
Sure.
gonna make bank. Just help people. Like I don't understand why it's such a hard fucking concept for people. Like just wake up
100.
in the morning and don't fuck people over. Like
Well, you know why? It's because again, it's the harder thing to do. What's the easier thing to do? Say
yeah,
yes
you're
and put out a tweet for 5 grand, or say no, do your research, properly vet these people and say, okay, is this aligned with my brand or not? Then I can say yes or no. That's the harder option, obviously, right?
yeah, I agree.
And people suffer from that. I don't wanna miss the story of Engage because
Yeah, yeah,
Engage is
engage.
all over this space. So
Yeah.
talk to me about that journey and story.
Yeah, brother. So I actually love talking about this. You wanna know why I love talking about it?
Why?
Because I take no fucking credit.
Yes,
None.
yes.
No, no, like, I'm dead fucking serious. You wanna know the truth about Engage? Straight top to bottom, here's the deal. 11 months ago, or 10 months ago, give or take, Estornia, who's a very, good person in the space, like a little brother to me, my blood. I love him, right? Estornia has a org called Astro, and little alpha group doing its thing, real promising. They all make money. Everybody's good, right? Estornia came and said, "Look, I got this idea, man. I got this thing, this engage thing I want to do." And he walked me through it. And he's like, "I want you to be part of it. Help us, make sure it goes the right way, et cetera, et cetera." I said, "Hey, no problem." Came on board. So it's his brainchild, not mine.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
uh-huh.
And we said, okay, what's the GTM going to be? Like, what are we doing? How do we get it out there and blow it up? I was like, here's the deal. We don't do shit. We just put it out there, right? Like they're like, what? I'm like, we just put it out there. And if it naturally grows on its own and blows up on its own, then we know we have something worth the squeeze,
100%.
right? So like no outreach team, no marketing, nothing. Just get it out to a few key communities, let the domino effect happen if it happens. And
Right.
now we are over 5,000 servers, over 270,000 users, I believe, all acquired with no outreach team, no marketing, no anything. B&B chain came to us and was like, dude, we love your product. Like, We want to put it in our Discord and partner with y'all. Like, are y'all open to it? We're like, yeah, fuck yeah, we're open to it. Are you kidding
Of
me?
course.
Like one of the biggest orgs in the world. Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
you look at Seedify, right? Who is an amazing org. And Levin, the CEO, is a friend and I think one of the best builders in the space. And Seedify partnered with Engage, and like, just a lot of great orgs partnering with us. And we've scaled, man. And we've done it with no marketing. And guess what? All owed to Astornia and Sephrug, like the
Yeah.
developer. Like, I take no credit, not a fucking piece of it. All them, they killed it. I have been blessed to be along with the journey and
Yeah.
just make sure that things stayed on path. Other than
Yeah.
that, their success, not mine.
Yeah, but you know what you touch back on, man, is what we've been talking about this whole time is treating people like people and the networking part, because I will give you a ton of credit. Guess what? They reached out to you, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that is the actual secret. How
yeah.
can you make the people, when they have an idea, reach out to you? Like, that is a huge, huge asset. So, yeah, I give credit to you, man, too. You
Oh,
were
I
able to
appreciate it.
cultivate that relationship,
I
And
appreciate
in the way that you talk about the things that you've done in this space, it totally makes sense that why that happened. How do
it.
you
Yeah,
what are the interested about the monetization part of Engage, if you could
yeah.
talk about it or not?
Yeah, no, I can. I have no problem. Look, we're a window, not a curtain, man. It's always transparent with us. Yeah, realistically, I do want to say this though, real quick. You know as well as I know that most people would probably try and take credit. Like, that just ain't
Oh,
the way to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
again,
Yeah.
like I try to tell people like live by what the fuck you say, and like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
if that doesn't showcase that I live by what I say, like I take no credit, and I'll be the first person to tell that to anybody when they ask me about Engage, right?
Yeah,
However,
there's our message live in real time. Like,
yeah,
you
there
just
it is.
did it. You
Just did
guys
it.
wanna know how to do it and build the relationships, do exactly what Tony just did.
And just be honest about it, because again,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. Now, monetization with Engage has been something we've been teetering on for quite some time. We've had offers to get Engage bought out. Um, a lot of things have been in the pipe, right? To be transparent, we just moved the company to Dubai over the last week, so it'll be headquartered out of Dubai. And monetization will actually turn on here in the next week or two. We plan on keeping it very cost effective.
Yeah.
Our goal is not to price out anybody. Our biggest goal is again client acquisition, client retention.
Yeah.
It's not a money driven thing. All of us have enough money. Granted, we want to make money at the end of the day, but I want a product that changes the mold, that shifts the mold, that has complete user adoption. And that's what I think Engage can achieve. So as long as we keep the price where everybody can afford it and everybody makes sense, and we've focus grouped the shit out of this thing, right? And everybody told us what we should charge, and what we're charging is far less. So I feel like it's going to be a big win for everybody. But that should turn on in the next week or two, and we'll start getting everything out there to our organizations.
And does it work per user or per
It's gonna
server
it's gonna
or
be a per server side is what
okay.
we're gonna probably do.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
looked at a per user side, but in the same token, with the website going live, a couple weeks ago, we're adding some new features in as well. A lot of build in Q3 coming to the website side. So when we bring enough value to the website where we have enough features we feel makes sense to charge users, we want
Right.
to do it, but we want to do it in a revenue share model, and that's why we went to Dubai to get out of the US to free us up to do certain things. So a big part of this is we want to give back. Like, if you're going to be putting in, we want you to have chances in lotteries and raffles and everything to not only get your money back, but make more money off of it. Right.
Right.
So a
Right.
lot of cool stuff coming. But right now, I think it's just going to be community based. And again, very, very nominal costs.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you said something interesting, and I want to hear about this. I don't have a ton, man. We could talk for another 4 hours. We're gonna have to do
Oh,
some
we
more
talk all
content.
we talk all freaking day, man.
We're gonna have to do some more content in the future. This has been a beautiful conversation. Um, you said something that I think's interesting. You said you've made money now, right? Like, you started from nothing. Now you're making money. You've had a 3-year company in the space, and you
Yeah.
have more flexibility to help other people out. Um, when you're now in that position, how do you kind of decide what's interesting to you, what you're going to work on? Because you have now 3 or 4 different companies that you're quote unquote a part of the founded team.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm asking is, what does that feel like? Like, what was that the ultimate goal? And now that you have this flexibility, what do you think about strategically in your mind on how you're going to spend your time?
You know, man, it's such an interesting question. I get goosebumps thinking about it because I could break into tears about it, to be transparent. I begged and I prayed and I put a lot of prayer into like asking whatever presence above to help me get out of this cubicle, out of corporate, out of like help me make my way. Like I know I can do bigger and better things, right? So like I remember having to log into work and like, you log in a Teams, right? And if it goes inactive for 15 minutes, oh my God, you're away. And then there's a timer going and just like the constant micromanagement and like that
Yeah.
stress on you, right? Like that
Right.
fucking stress, man. Like I can't
Right.
even explain it. It's
Yeah.
horrible, right? To now having like the wake up and like God bless me with an entrepreneurship where I just decide my own schedule. I can block off the whole day and go play golf in my backyard, or I can turn around and start another company, right? Like I'm starting a fucking pickleball company in Web 2, literally as we speak, because I live here at a country club and like they charge us 100K for a pickleball court, and I sat there and I go, the fuck am I missing? So like literally just filed the paperwork, everything. I've already got a construction company that does concrete, like it's a whole different thing, but like it's a blessing, man. It's like the greatest thing I can ever experience. I don't know how to else explain it. Like seeing my children born was the best thing that ever happened to me. Getting married to my wife, right up there. But like every day getting to wake up and set your own plate and like how you do it and what you're going to do and not feel this burden of being having to answer to anybody else. I can't explain the feeling. It's the greatest
Mhm.
thing ever. I'm so thankful for it.
Mhm.
And to choose what I'm going to work on, I really don't know, man. It's what comes up that day. Every day is just so many like opportunities and things that pop up where I'm needed, and it's just so cool, man. I
That's
can't tell
awesome,
you
man.
how thankful I am for it, bro. Like I don't take it for granted 1 second. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
So we uh I want to wind it down. I always ask one question to close it out. And then I'll say kind of my closing thoughts about you, but I've got two thoughts before we get there.
Sure.
One, I just felt like the pure appreciation and happiness that you feel to get to where you are now, right?
Yeah.
So that wasn't easy. What is
No.
your advice for people that are trying to just accomplish being able to say what you said, almost feeling tears because of that
Yeah.
appreciation?
Eight hour work
What
8 hour work days are not a thing.
Yeah,
16-hour work days are a real thing if you want to get to where you're at. Is it an everyday thing all day for the rest of life? No. But if you actually want to get to this point and do it right, because let's be transparent, like a lot of people in this economy don't have the blessing where they can just stop working in Web 2 and just focus on Web 3 and just grow their shit out and et cetera. Like some people are having to balance both, right? And I mean, when I was getting into Web 3, I was still, working at Progressive, still doing night stuff, my research and everything at night when I got off work and going through projects and what went wrong and this and that, right? So realistically, I work 8, 9 hours at Progressive, spend some time with the family, and then I'm 3 or 4 hours doing research, going in and
yep,
out, having conversations. Like it is not a fucking 8 hour workday. Like if you want to get to this point, understand that 16 hours is a normality. It
mhm,
is a thing, and
mhm,
you have to put in the fucking work, man.
yeah,
Like your number one thing is bring value to other people. That should be your only mindset. Every day you wake up, how can I bring value to other people? Because if I do it enough, someone's going to bring value back to me. And
yep,
once I get that value once, that's my opportunity to prove myself. So now I prove myself, and boom, it compounds. It compounds and it compounds. And guess what? Once you have 2 or 3 projects under your belt, now it's a hell of a lot harder for people to say no to you because you got the experience. First
yep,
thing is get the fucking experience. But bro, this bullshit of, well, I worked 6 hours today or 8 hours. I don't give a fuck. I worked fucking 16. I got 2 kids, a fucking wife I didn't see. I got 2 elderly parents I barely talk to. But at the end of the day, it don't fucking matter. We get one life, bro. And you either
yeah,
gonna live it in a cubicle or you're gonna do what I'm doing. But it's gonna take 2 to 3 years to get there. And treating
yeah,
people right and putting
yeah,
others ahead of you. That's
yeah,
my biggest thing, man. Put others ahead of you, motherfucker. Watch what happens.
yeah. Love it. I love it. Love the passion. And so the last thought is before we close it out is for Web3 people coming in now. We've been in for years at this point, right? Um, and they're interested in, I would say, anything. I don't want to say pigeonhole it into like they're interested in the investing side, they're interested in the dev side. They're just really interested in Web3 and the possibilities here. What's your recommendation for that new person?
Man, it always breaks down to research, but I'm a research guy, right? So I think
Yeah,
my recommendation would be do a little research out of the get go. You have to. I mean, you don't just come in and go, all right, well, here, I'm here, right? Like, find a project that you really do like, that you believe in, whether it's the art, whatever it is. Find something that speaks to you on why it is, right? Because the
yeah,
first thing in the space is you have to start to build your circle. You have to start building contacts in the space. And if that is just the normal minting, everyday Web3 person, which is amazing because the space is because of them, right?
yeah,
Then you make your first network, and then that network starts to expand you to other people in other places and other skill sets. Leverage those connections, see how you
yeah,
can continue to move. But that is the way. Like, embed yourself, like forcefully embed yourself into a community, either by
yeah,
purchasing in or just finding a way into the Discord and talking to people, man. Like, it sounds so, juvenile and whatever it is. That is the reality of it, man.
yeah,
Because unless you got somebody that is connected up in here to the teeth and that can just bring you in and start dropping you in chats and introing you, you
yeah,
have to go get it for yourself like I did. Because I
for
didn't
sure.
have none of that bullshit. I
Yeah,
didn't know nobody in here. In
yeah,
fact,
love it.
just to tell you one thing, you'll love this, because I'm sure you got told too. I'll never forget getting told, "Oh, you're too fucking old for this space. You don't know what you're doing." I'll never forget that. Right when I first started, like doing the Zoomers thing, somebody told me that,
Right.
and I go, "Okay, okay. So let's see where I can."
Challenge
Yeah,
accepted.
challenge accepted. That would
I
be my
love.
advice, brother.
All right, man. I got to close it down. I got some hard stops, but this is how we'll do it. I'll ask you my one final question. Then I'll say my closing comments. We'll call it a day. Been incredible already. So my final question is: You've you've listened to spaces. You've been a part of spaces. I'm sure you might even have been on a podcast. Feedback, comments on how it went today on the Midlife Crisis Mikey G show.
No, I think what you're doing is awesome, man. I think you have a genuine talent for this. I think you're very good at like bringing out the right, questions in people. You're a very good conversator. It's all genuine, which is the what you're not faking any of it, which is where I think a lot of these people have problems. They don't genuinely believe in what they're doing like you do. And you know how it is. You told me in the beginning, this is your thing. You love this. You're
Yeah.
grinding on the side to provide for your family as well. You can tell the passion comes out. So my thoughts are, bro, my only critique is don't fucking stop.
Thanks, man. That means the world. Like that's means the world. That makes me warm and almost want to cry. I really appreciate it, man. And
All
my
good.
closing comments to you, dude, are uh like I said in the beginning, right? Digital fire, friendship was born in my mind. Like you are the people that I surround myself with. And I want to add you to that circle because I think together I've said this with DSK Dow. Tyler's become one of my good buddies, long blue. I'm sure you know him. And we coined the term enough nice guys together finish first. One nice guy finishes last.
That's true.
So you're there, man. I mean, we align on so many levels of mindset and how you should act as a human, not just be successful, and not how Web3 should work, but how you should act as a human. And it's critically important for the future of humanity, really,
Yeah.
right? And I think the more we can find that circle, I think in 5 years, if we continue to work and grow together, we can dominate the space. And we listen, are we going to get rid of all the shitbag influencers?
No.
No. But can we have a major impact? Because, like you said, it's so small and it's still so nascent that we're easily being able to find these right people and build these connections. And, bro, us all together, the possibilities are endless. Thank you for being so transparent. A window, like you said, into your life. Fascinating. Uh, So many lessons learned from this conversation that I know people are gonna watch this and you're gonna have made an impact, bro.
I
Like
hope so,
for
man. I
a
hope so.
100%. And that's really ultimately the reason why I do. I've had hundreds of messages of people say, "Hey, I watched X podcast episode and it changed my life." I've even had somebody say, "Listen, I've been addicted to drugs and alcohol. If I had somebody like you and the guest around in my life at that time, I know it would have been different. But thank you for doing what you do because I found you now and I can continue to watch your shows." Someone is going to watch this and you will have made that impact to hundreds of people, I promise you. So thank you for that. And that comes from you being genuine, you being transparent. And the number one thing, man, like you said it about me, you're passionate, man.
Yeah.
Like you're committed, and you're the conviction you have on your beliefs has absolutely spawned that success over the last 3 years. So thank you for taking the time. Ultimately, that's the final thing I'll say is time.
Oh,
we
it's my
we in this situation where we're fathers, we have other things going on, and we're trying to build companies. Time is our most valuable thing, and you just gave me over an hour and a half of it. So I really, really appreciate it,
pleasure.
man. You are the fucking goat.
Brother, pleasure was on this side of the table completely. And honestly, Mikey, if he even touches one person and changes even one person's course of what they're doing, like, brother, we're killing it. All it has
Yeah,
to do is impact one person. At the end of the day, remember, we
yeah,
close our eyes for good.
yeah,
We answered everything we did. So I think you're doing great things, man. Keep it going. Pon's up next, huge name.
yeah.
Sure, that's going to be a bomb as well. I'll watch that. And if there's anything I can ever do for you in the future, don't hesitate to reach out.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. And with that being said, Tony and Mikey G are out. Midlife Crisis podcast has come to an end. We freaking love you all. We'll see you soon.
Be blessed, y'all.